Good morning, Bloomfield Elementary, and happy Friday. I'm excited to be back with a video message to introduce the Bomber Weekly. Took off the last couple of weeks because the newsletter itself was so information heavy, but this week I had a couple of things that I wanted to communicate. I thought the video was the best format to do so. The first couple of things have to do with COVID-19. Just a reminder that this past week, coming back from Thanksgiving break, our district started a process called Test to Stay, and that was working with the county health department to do so across the county where, if schools are able to, we're doing so. What that means is if a student has been identified as a possible close contact with someone that's positive for COVID-19 here at school, that contact had to be here at school, then they can test daily before school to stay and attend school. Has to be a daily negative test. So that has been underway. That's happening. We were almost a week into that, and that has been going well. Thank you to our health office for managing that. The second thing with COVID-19 has to do with communication of positive cases. Starting yesterday, we really started to communicate out to families if there has been a positive case associated with their child's class. So those notifications are going out via Parent Square. That is something that the county started recommending yesterday to us, so we did so yesterday. So just wanted to let you know, and I see that process continuing forward, but who knows, things, as you know, do change pretty rapidly in this COVID-19 era that we find ourselves. The second thing I wanted to touch on could be a little bit more, it's more personal, it's less like less heavy stuff like COVID-19. But I've been struggling a little bit lately, and I'm sure others have too. So I want to kind of put this out into the world. I've been struggling with busyness, right? There's just a lot going on. It's a busy time of year. Like I think of all the things that you all have been accomplishing in the last few weeks between F&P benchmarking, report cards, parent conferences, you name it, right? A very, very busy time. You know, everyone is busy. It looks different for each person. And I find myself there as well. And sometimes when I'm feeling really, really busy, I get trapped in that and lose sight of some of the more proactive things that I like to do. So when I think of this, I always like to think of it in terms of the big rocks and the little rocks. This comes from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, something I know I've actually used with students before. So if I'm thinking professionally, for me, the big rocks are things like communication with all of you, communication with parents, things like really spending time being proactive for meetings that are coming up and things like that. Can also be things like scheduling of my unannounced observations or scheduling of upcoming, priority area team meetings, those sorts of things. And then those little rocks tend to be those things that can really take up the time, whether it's email or paperwork, you name it, right? There's a lot of things that can fall into that category. But if we put those little rocks in first, it's really hard to fit the big rocks, right? We want to be putting the big rocks in first. And then what time is left over, using that for those little rocks, right? So that's something that I've been really trying to focus on. I know this week coming back from Thanksgiving is really trying to allow time for those big rocks, like I mentioned, communication, scheduling, proactive work, being in classrooms, those things that matter the most to me as a professional. So that's something I know I'm really working on is putting the big rocks in first. So, welcome on that journey with me. If you want to talk about that sometime, I would welcome that. Um, I know I've also talked about through the idea of like settling the ball. Sometimes the busyness can be distracting, but it's all about having a way to work through that and to course correct. So thank you all for all that you've been working on in terms of that busyness. And thank you for keeping those big rocks front and center, which I know you do every day, which are things like relationships with our students and with each other. So I hope you have a fantastic Friday, have some great parent teacher conferences. I hope you have an even better weekend.